Hey, I'm Aja A, and welcome to Sunshine Haze. Don't forget to check out all the links that I have listed down in the description box, and if you like the video, please give me a little thumbs up. If you have any questions after the video is over, feel free to drop them down below. I try to respond to everyone. And if you all know people interested in astrology, numerology, tarot, or whatever I'm talking about on this channel, go on and send them this link. And don't forget to hit subscribe. And of course, thanks for tuning in and rocking with me. May this info help y'all live your best lives. Peace. Hey, y'all, welcome back. I know it feels like it's been forever. It's been kind of quiet on my channel, but here we are, I'm back. I realized last year I didn't put up Taurus Lunar Cycle forecast, so I wanted to make sure that this year I did get, I didn't put up Taurus Lunar Cycle Tarot forecast. That was a jumble, but I wanted to make sure that I got those out this year. They're a little late, but they are covering the beginning of May through the beginning of June, so we still got a few weeks left on this lunar cycle. So you may have already tapped into the energies that I'm about to talk to, or they may be coming up for you, or you may be dealing with them now, just depending. Please keep in mind that this is a general reading. If you don't feel like what I'm saying is resonating with you, go on and check out your moon and or rising sign, and I do have that linked down below in the description box, okay? All right, you guys. This is for my Geminis, Gemini Sun, Gemini Moon, and or Gemini Rising. And we're going to be doing our typical 4-card spread, looking at the energy coming in for you guys, any crossing energies or obstacles you may be dealing with. Because we're dealing with the Taurus moon this time around, we're going to be looking at where you need to be persevering, what you need to be doing in the physical. And then, as always, a little soul message, something extra for you to take away with you from this reading, okay? All right, so let's just go on and get started. The first card that you have coming up in your spread is a change in the wind, and right off bat I first want to talk about the numerology. You've got 12 here, right? We are in a 3-year. You are actually wrapping up your year. The next lunar cycle that we have coming up is yours, so this number has to do with cycles for you. So this is an indicator of the end and the beginning for you, Gemini, and you've got a change in the wind being the card. So that is just a very blatant message. You are coming into a new chapter. You are leaving behind an old chapter. And for you, a lot of shit's going to be changing in your physical. We're talking about the Taurus lunar cycle here. So we're talking about foundations. We're talking about family shit. We're talking about relationships. We're talking about finances. We're talking about, what else? Career or things of that sort. But things are going to be shifting and they're going to be changing for you, and these are going to be physical changes tangible changes that you will see, in addition to, you know, changes in your mental and your perspective and like your personal growth as well. So for you during this next month, I think it is very much so resonating with, you know, you're wrapping up your cycle. And as you wrap things up, you move away from things and you start to move towards things. And Gemini, this for you is a very, very important cycle ending for you. For some, every cycle is important, but this time around for you, Gemini, this is very important. Pay attention to the things that you're feeling like you're no longer aligned with. Pay attention to the people that you no longer feel like you're attached to, or pay attention to the way that your relationships may have changed. And just be mindful. With change always comes resistance, and when we change things, when we move away from things, we sometimes always feel like we're taking a little bit of an L, and that's because when you have to step away from something, you feel like you're letting it go, you feel like you're losing it. But understand, Gemini, that we still got Saturn in Capricorn, right? Crumbling foundations to make space for us to build upon new pillars. It's time for us to come into alignment, and I'm not a Gemini, but I'm saying this on a wide scale. It's time for everybody to come into alignment with their highest good, for their highest self, the best version of themselves, right? You're changing the wind. You're happening now. So you're starting to see a lot of shifts. You're starting to change your perspective. You're starting to probably look at your friendships, look at your familiar relationships, look at your romantic relationships, and kind of starting to weigh things out, looking at things in a new light. You're maybe feeling like you want to do something different with your career, feeling like you want to add a different element to your career. Whatever the case may be, things are changing for you, Gemini, and that change is really coming in for you strong during this particular month underneath the Taurus lunar cycle with that earth energy, okay? The next card that you've got coming up in this spread is in the position of what is crossing you, or what could be crossing you during this particular month, and you've got Urzuli, you've got Urzuli La Flambeau. So for you, Gemini, this card resonates with the energy of getting back to you, getting back to yourself, but also understanding that change comes with it. And with this being in the crossing energy, this does tell me that you may be a little resistant to the things that are coming in, or there may be a little bit of resistance to your change. Gemini, you guys are air, so when you are no longer feeling something and you're feeling like you want to go do something different and you've thought about it, or you think you've thought about it, you're already on to the next in your mind. The physical is just always quick to follow you. So during this time, the people around you or your situations, they may notice that, okay, your head's not in it, your heart's not in it, or whatever it is that you've got going on, you're just not connected to it anymore. And those people or these things or these jobs, they may really want you to stay and stick around. But Gemini, understand that if you've already thought that it's time to go, well, guess what? It's time to go and do something different. But there's going to be a little bit of resistance to your change, which is normal. And it could come from you, it could come from somebody else. But the change for you with this card coming up here, and this is the Seven of Flames, this is Petra. This is a card of standing your ground and doing your own thing, even if the people or the situations around you don't necessarily fall into alignment. So this being a crossing card, Gemini, you're into a new chapter. You're ready to do your own thing again or do something different for yourself. And people may not understand, or it may not necessarily line up with what you've got going on right now, but understand that this is an obstacle and it is the resistance to your change. You've actually got to fight through that and get past it, because you have change coming in for you, whether or not you're ready or whether or not the people around you or the situations that you're in are ready for you to be moving forward or changing or switching or shifting the energy, okay? All right, next card that you've got coming up is Yagua. And this is another card of really getting your shit together. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that was another spread. But a change in the wind also alludes to getting your shit together. This is another card of really tapping into this energy of figuring out what is best for you and what works for you and putting your energy into it. And this card is in the Taurus position, the Taurus energy position, right? So this card popping up here does tell me that you need to put a little bit more energy into yourself, Gemini. And people tend to think that there is this negative energy associated with being selfish, but sometimes you have to do for you before you can do for anybody else or anything else. So during this next month in the physical, your change is in regards to yourself. You need to really take a little bit of time, tap into that Gemini energy, and think about what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what helps you grow, and what is stunting your growth. And once you figure all that shit out, Gemini, you need to go on and in the physical start making moves to support what this could be in an upright position, okay? You know, Geminis, I have a couple of friends with Gemini placements, and my sister also has Gemini placements, and I noticed that you guys, especially in situations where you've devoted your energy or where you feel emotional attachments or have been emotionally invested, you feel this kind of guilt, like you have to, this obligation, like you have to stick around, whether it's a person or a job or a situation. And I just want you to know, Gemini, as this change comes in, if you feel like it's time for you to move away from whatever that shit is, if when I said that you thought of a situation and you were like, oh yeah, that's me, if this change coming in points to it's time for you to move away from that, it is time for you to move away from that. This card also talks about planning and being balanced in your movements, right? So Gemini, as your change comes in, with your intellectual air energy, you will realize what works, what doesn't, what you need to do and what you don't. You need to make sure that you are acting on that in the physical. A lot of times you Geminis will have very well thought out plans in your head, but because of your Gemini energy, when it comes to what you're doing in the physical, it could be something completely different. Now is not the time to do that. We have a Taurus lunar cycle here, so it's time to get a little grounded. Plan your shit out, work through your shit, figure out what works for you, what changes you need to make, and then go on and start doing that in the physical. Start cutting ties with people that you need to cut ties with. Start moving away from jobs that no longer work for you. Start clearing up familial energy. Start telling people or moving away from relationships that don't work. You know, whatever the case may be, you need to make the moves in the physical in addition to figuring it out in the mental, okay? The last card that I have in your spread is actually my favorite card in this deck. You've got the Labyrinth, and it is the card that points to your journey, and it does also resonate with the number 22, which is master number energy. So your message, your soul message for this month is very very important, I think. And I think that it's important for you to understand, Gemini, that as these changes come in, I tell you all the time, I don't believe in coincidence. I believe that everything happens for a reason, right? As these changes come in, Gemini, understand that things are moving out of your life and things are moving into your life for a reason. You will not be guided to where you don't need to be, if that makes sense. Now, your journey, the way that your journey plays out is always your choice, but your final destination, that goal, that alignment with your highest good, the best version of yourself, is always the end point. Again, you will not be guided to where you don't need to be. It is really what you do along the journey that counts for your experience and your knowledge and all those other things. So understand that you're on the path to where you need to be, no matter what is going on for you during this month. Even though change may seem rocky and you may not be ready for change, or the people around you may not be ready for change, understand that it's all a part of your journey, and you can't hold up your journey for anybody. There was this girl, I was visiting my best friend in Cali. I was visiting Tori a few years ago. Shit, that might have been more like 5 years ago. Like 5 years ago. And we went to one of her friends' house, one of her friends at the time, one of their houses. And she was talking about this dude that she was dating, but she said something that really resonated with me, and I just apply this to everything and everybody when it comes to getting to that point where you truly resonate with that feeling of just being where you're supposed to be and being who you're supposed to be. She said, I don't have time to slow down for you to catch up. So as things are changing around you, as there's resistance happening for you, understand that you don't have time to deal with resistance. You don't have time to even acknowledge that shit. You have your own journey. You've got your own plans. You've got things to do. Okay? All right, Gemini, that is your reading. Thank you for tuning in. If you want another free reading, I do have the vernal equinox and spring tarot forecast up, and that is covering the energies through June. You can check that out. I have it linked down below. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.